Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Our final stream of the year here in the Underdog Fantasy lobbies. Yeah, it's a sad day for many in New York, as we may have lost pick'ems for good. But that's not what we're going to talk about too much. We're gonna go over it, but we're mainly going to bring in Matt right now, and we're going to go over the Underdog final push towards 150 for both me and Matt. As you saw, if you're in the Discord, you know this all too well. I am just actively now trolling Matt and really trolling everyone that's trying to take down my crown as the number one in the Underdog Fantasy Season Long Best Puck Space. So Matt, coming for the king.
I'm sorry. Are you gonna keep up this ruse all year long? Because this is the most motivation. This is the most motivated I have ever been for any just any season of all time. Like, it truly is remarkable the amount of sheer willpower I have. That, I mean, I've been known to half-ass a thing or two in my life. There has been absolutely nothing about this preseason that I've half-assed, and I think I have you to thank for that. So, from the bottom of my heart, DJ, thank you. Best of luck, and I hope I kick your fucking ass.
Yeah. Well, I think the best part is, my microphone's really far from my face. I think that's better. I don't know if anyone was like, I don't know. Again, people aren't in Discord. It might be, a little bit less, but it is really starting to turn into everybody versus DJ, and I absolutely love it. And every draft I do, I could just tell at the end of it, people are just like, oh, he got another one. Like, we let him do it again, and it's just like, oh man, like every team I draft is good. And I think that's what's so funny about it, is that I know there's people in the Discord that are just like, I hate this guy. Like, again, he does it again.
Yeah. Well, check your settings. I'm not sure if your sound's coming through your mic or not. It's a little. It sounds like you're a little far away, which is strange. But that sounds like it's your mic. So I don't know. It was weird. No, that broke it. No, wait.
Better? Is it better now?
Yeah.
Though?
Okay, that works. I don't know. It was a weird.
I reset it.
Okay, sure.
It said it was on it, but sometimes it gets messed up.
I mean, I think you were good regardless, but you just kind of sounded far away, and I was like, I don't know if that's how it's supposed to sound. But
I think I had the mic
way
over to the side.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we have a week until opening night puck drop, 5:30 next Tuesday. So one of those interesting slates that you'll need to rearrange your work schedules or life schedules. But pretty soon after, we'll be back at the 7 o'clocks. So yeah, the pick'em thing is. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, how are you doing on tickets for the opening night? You got any big ones?
Well, I can't play in any contest for tickets for the actual opening night, so I'll probably just run one in the 333 and just play one team for that night, rather than like figure out an MME process for a 3-game slate. Like, I'm just not very good at it, and honestly not very motivated to be good at it. Just given I'm not sure I have that capability. But I have, I think, 3 for the big one the next day. I think it is the Spino, the 360. So we'll see. There haven't really been many contests though for them, unless you're playing baseball every day, which I might in the postseason, but haven't been. I've played some NFL contests, but I think I only won one through the NFL. Preseason is a big downer. There's absolutely nothing to play in the lobby. So.
Yeah, last year it was like $1,000 the first every single night, and this year it's like $250, and it's a downer. But I've won some tickets. I'm up to 8 or 9 total. I don't have any of the Spinos, but it'll be fun. We'll get back to talking DraftKings, and we'll still be doing Underdog stuff. There'll be more stuff, probably mainly on my own, and there'll still be pick'ems. I should be able to see them. Like, I just might not be able to bet them as much, which will be frustrating. And it just is one of those things where I get it, and it's like I'm mad about it, but at the end of the day, it is sort of like fixing something that was probably going to be fixed, and it just doing it by getting rid of it completely, and not it's the easy way out, if you will. Also, what do you got to say? I'm gonna stop my cam for a second. I'm gonna fix something, but what do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just sounds like a nakedly political thing. I'm in Pennsylvania, so like I'm probably someone with the least amount of sympathy, just because like I'm also unable to play pick'ems, and it's solely due to the way that the law is written. So there's been hints that the NY law was going to be under challenge. Same things happening in Florida. I think all the laws are written very similarly, so it's just a matter of risk tolerance versus is the market worth it. And I think for Underdog, they knew there was risk, and I think they were just like, this market's definitely worth it. So it totally sucks. Like it's one of the only reasons that like oh, the government blah blah blah, like I get it, it sucks. But I think this is largely a case of self-motivated interests in the lobbying side and whatnot driving things versus anything like, oh yeah, like it's clearly good or bad for the consumer. Like I don't know, like
Yeah.
frankly, I
I mean,
think
I
Underdog's getting away light because I don't think they were making a ton of money on their pick'em products. Maybe I'm wrong, but especially in NHL, I don't think they were making a ton of money.
no,
So
no. Yeah, I largely agree. I think the pick'em is more of a bringing in new customers, and just that's a big part of what they're trying to do, which is why I'm sure it's frustrating. And they're just gonna lose customers. And like I will, I saw people tweeting like, you shouldn't be using these because there's actually, it like it's uncontrolled. Like the house, I saw people tweeting this up, and I'm like, what are you even talking about though? Like, how could you sit there and be like, this is not I maybe I'll overblow it myself, but I just think it's bad for the market, maybe a bit more than you do, where it's just the DraftKings and FanDuel are putting out lines more and more that are just complete garbage to take your money. It's
yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
time. And it's like
it's.
now they're losing competition and they can just do more of this. Hey, bet this line that is a minus 115 and
I mean, my retort to that is that Underdog is
offered. Like
absolutely
this is
not.
insane, but they do it all the time. Um,
I
I don't
think you
know. It's
lagged there for a
frustrating
bit.
because that was what feels like this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that lobbying, and they just shouldn't happen because of that.
Yeah, I mean,
But
the
I
other
don't know.
the other consideration though is that Underdog isn't putting any lines out that they originate themselves for for the NHL. So like, I don't know if that's really a big deal. Like they're just gonna repackage the DraftKings stuff anyway for their player prop over unders. But yeah, losing that correlation definitely sucks as far as like goalies and skater shot props and stuff like that. I think there certainly was an edge there, and I would suggest that people who are in those states to continue pushing that because I don't think it'll be around forever. And I think it is a provable edge over time to correlate within your entries. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say, especially because I don't grind day to day on them because I can't bet them. And frankly, I'm not at the point where I'm like willing to sell out to give out picks that I'm not betting. Like I just feel like that's a little
Yeah,
yucky too. So
I don't want to do it. That's the thing is I
yeah.
always like every video I've done, I'm very vocal about I am betting this or I'm not betting this, and I'm like a couple of videos you can like watch me doing it. Like I'm going to be betting
Mhm.
it or not, and I'm going to be honest
All right.
about it. So I'm just gonna have to be honest about it, but I don't want to stop doing it because it's part of my stuff. But we can move on to what you wanted to show. Quick,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I
do it.
mean, I don't have anything fancy. Make sure you subscribe to my newsletter though, because I am working. It's a bit delayed with real life work considerations, but I'm working on like a season preview. That's sort of the idea is like a set of headlines for each team that explain why like a certain player failed. So very similar to like the fades article I had up on the newsletter, but basically just like sort of summarizing the key questions going into the season for each team and sort of taking those into account and saying, the this player or team X failed because XYZ thing happened. DJ just linked it right there. My man's got me. But that should be coming. I'm hoping by the weekend. But if you're around Friday, maybe expect it then. But I'm just going team by team at this point, and it's my version of a season preview. If you're on the Morning Skate podcast feed, you will see DJ's team by team previews are populating your feed. I forgot to post the one for today, so now we're backed up a day. So I'll be posting two one of these days to get us to all 32 teams by opening night. And we'll have an opening night podcast, and we'll have a season preview of sorts. I think we'll go through some like awards type stuff, and just we've talked so much about the league that we're not going to go real into the nitty gritty, but we're going to at least do something to preview the season. But I don't know, anything you want to add before I get into some specific Underdog type stuff, the normal?
No, bring it up.
Okay. All right, so yeah, this was inspired by someone in the Discord, I think much smarter than me, Count MC Mano, if you're in there, but he shared a very cool visual that I was, it's very simple, but I was just kind of like, I kind of want to steal that and use that. So I recreated it for myself, just sort of summarizing where I'm at in the draft season. Let's see. Zoom in a bit more. So what I have, that's too far. Okay, so picks by team.
Oh, that's worse.
But yeah.
That's
so
better.
on the bottom, you can just see the team abbreviations, and then my center wing. Basically how many picks I have for each of those teams. So like, maybe if I make this a bit smaller, it'll be clear. I don't know if that's legible, but in any case, just sort of summarize like, hey, what teams am I the most invested in? So like I was very interested because Mano did it, and his most invested team was Florida. Count MC, if you're in the lobby, he's drafting against you for, I think he's gonna max it, and he has like the most of his exposures on Florida. You can see here. They are the least of my exposures. I think there's one player that I've drafted, maybe it's Kaliev or someone is like not tagged to a team that I've been taking a couple times. But for the most part, you can see Florida is like my lowest exposure team. And I just thought this is kind of a neat visual. I have Colorado, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Vegas, and Washington. Those kind of are the ones that stand out to me. Maybe a bit of Toronto. I can sort it by centers. All of a sudden Toronto. That's because I have so much Matthews. But the Rangers with the Benajad, the Islanders with their late round centers. So I thought this was kind of cool. If there's anything like specific that you guys really want to go over, I'm happy to discuss it. But I thought this was great. Yeah, exactly. The Shea Theodore effect. I'm at 40% right now and 30% of March or so. So that would explain that. Be interesting to see your allocation of position by round. Let me see. I think I can do that. So if I do pick number, it might not be bucketed by round for pick numbers though. Yeah. Okay. I'll see if I can do something in the background while we're drafting, to display that. But yeah, there's a few things you could do beyond just this view I have. But Manos looked much slicker and much cooler. So can I multi-select the wings? Yes, I can. So yeah, at wing, Minnesota, Colorado, Boston, Pittsburgh. So yeah, just kind of cool. I don't know. If you want to like freeze frame on any of these views, I'm perfectly fine with you doing that and ask me any questions. But I don't know, DJ, anything sort of stand out to you, or is just kind of, what you expected based on what we've talked about all year?
Yeah. No, it's good definitely to have, I think. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I froze for a minute.
I can,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting. It's more of like having that for when we look back to start the next year's process might be interesting, especially by round, like where you're allocating, and just like it might be interesting to see when we compare it to players that like advance at a high rate or a low rate, and if maybe you were able to capture just like something before it got out of hand, and that maybe led to like a bad pick later. I don't know, but I think there's more that could be done with it forward.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I just wanted
I'm starting
to
to definitely get a lot of exposure to some certain players, but I don't think I'm going to be anywhere near as uh, Eric Carlson and Victor Arvidsson as I was last year with anyone. So I kind of think my philosophy is just becoming more of you don't need to do that to win. And having the best player doesn't necessarily mean you win because I won last year and I didn't have either of the best two players. Um, you see what I'm saying? So like I'm not focused on well, I'm trying to like search for the right phrase, but it's like
yeah, I
winning
mean
by
that's
player take,
it's
maybe. Like that's not
like
part of
yeah,
like what I believe is most important.
that's the point that I think I mean, I have my player takes that I'm going in on, but I don't think you need to have player takes to win because there's so many other edges in the lobby. Like I think you kind of need to have player takes in like an underdog like the $50 or whatever for football. Because you're going against sharp people that know what they're doing. Every draft you load up on the underdog streets, there's going to be an edge. People are paying the rake by taking 6 goalies or 9 centers or whatever, just stupid that they're just not going to win with. So like the more condensed you get onto a certain player, the more downside risk you leave yourself. And I just don't think you need to do that. But this year's a bit more top heavy than last year. The minimum cash is not 2x, it's 1.5x. So like there are some reasons to think that maybe I should get a little bit more aggressive. So like, I'm happy to in some cases, but in general, I'm not trying to have like massive stands or anything like that. Just sort of sprinkling in minor stands throughout my drafting process. Um, the other thing we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe last week, I don't know. I didn't update DJs, but I updated my own with where I'm at. I'm at 110 drafts. I have 40 to go in the next week. Hoping to get to 150. We'll see. I feel pretty confident though. Just sort of looking at my highest exposures and one, how my value fares comparatively. So like I've been getting Jordan Bennington, well after what his current ADP is. This actually might be outdated. I didn't think to update the ADP, so shit, he might be 10 spots higher right now. But anyway, my ADP beats that pretty considerably, regardless of whether I update that or not. And to see sort of who I've been drafting in the later stages. So like the most bars are my last couple of weeks. So over the last couple of weeks, I've gotten a lot more Cole Caulfield. One guy that I wanted to point out was, Forsberg, I think has fallen to me as well. Like the Forsberg Caulfield, I think has been a rather common clicks of mine when it just really wasn't before for whatever reason. But where is he?
Like while you're saying that though,
Here
it does. I think the Forsberg thing is interesting. If this was NFL, I think Forsberg would have gotten a lot of steam after just one preseason game, just because of he looked back. He was absolutely awesome in that first game. I think he had like 7 shots on goal. I don't think he scored though. And it's like it just doesn't exist in hockey. He's falling. I mean, that the concern on Forsberg isn't if he's one of the better players in the world. It is he going to start the year as one of those, and is everything okay? That was answered in my opinion, and he just didn't rise. So I also now am up to he's my second highest exposure player because he's actually fallen
Yeah,
from where he was
I
going.
mean, that's pretty interesting. And I do agree. When you dig through like the floor and like point per 60 type stats that I like to look at, he does stand out sort of as like an elite
Yeah,
player. Even last year when it wasn't his
and,
best. So
and
I
I
like
think
that. So
I think the Nashville situation. I'm not going to say like it's really easy to try to draw a comparison to last year, and I think it's a bit lazy. But I think under Andrew Burnett, and I talked about it a bit when I covered Nashville, I think they're going to try to be fun, and they're adding players like Fagimo. There's talent on this team to score. I'm thinking Roman Yossi could be back and Forsberg could be back, and that's part of what I've been saying all along. So I'm sticking to that, and that's something that I've lost a lot of that Yossi early exposure, but I'm happy I won when I did, and now I'm at 20%. But I'm really sticking to my guns on Nashville. Just like you could say, San Jose was the worst team in hockey last year, one of them, but Carlson still was the best defenseman in fantasy. So yeah, I'm just kind of going to stick with Nashville could be better than expected, at least on offense. And if that's the case, I know where it's coming from. And even if Tommy Novak scores 25, like he's not going to be relevant in this format, and that just might actually help get a few more points on the power play for Forsberg and Yossi. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that's you. Like, do I know ball or not? As much as that's like, I'm willing to go that level take and get overexposed. Do you want me to show my exposures, or is there anything else you want?
No, I was waiting to finish up, and then you can take over if you want. But the one player that I actually wanted to like explicitly reference, probably just burning myself for the next like 40 drafts I'm gonna do. But Nazem Kadri's a guy that I think I was just overlooking to start things. Like I was poking through some of his numbers. Specifically, I have this little preseason sheet that I just fill out names, and it sort of tells me like the floor rates and the points per 60, and tries to make age-based comparisons across the NHL and the minor leagues. So that's sort of how I've been doing my preseason process. And like Kadri's rates look so insane that I had to sort of check them for myself, because I'm like, there's no way he was this good last year. And I looked into it. He was 13th in the NHL on a bad Calgary team in Corsi per 60. His points per 60, were definitely worse than like I guess like worse than 13th for absolute certain. He's somewhere down in like the 100s, maybe 110 maybe in terms of points per 60 last year. So like not great. But for a guy who goes in the last round of most drafts at a center position that I'm totally fine like waiting till the last round to draft, Nazem Kadri is basically the exact sort of guy that I want to like get exposure to. So you can see like I haven't taken much of him until the last couple weeks, and then it's sort of skyrocketing. So I just thought that was interesting, because even as this process has drug on, I've been sort of reviewing things and sort of tweaking my plan of attack for these drafts. So I don't know. Just want to sort of shout him out, because I feel like if Calgary's any better than they were last year, that he's going to be a major benefactor of that. Just with a functional power play and 5-on-5 offense and whatnot. All right.
Yeah, it's actually funny because today someone messaged me about like, are there any sleepers? And I was like, I like, I'll phrase it the same way. Basically, is that I don't know if I want to say there's like inherent sleepers, because there's so many centers that are sleepers that I just said like, I think that a guy like Kadri, and his exact example I used, if you're in here, or listening later, you're like, oh my god, that's so funny. Matt said that. I was like, I think Kadri is just going way too late, but if you actually are drafting correctly and he falls into your lap, it's like the perfect play. He's your perfect second or third center in the right build. And the upside's to the moon. And I think you could still like, I think people are trying to like win flex or whatever. I think you don't need to like draft a center early to win flex. You need to get a guy with that kind of upside. So first off, I do think the hockey version is, puck. I just, we should get that going. And then I don't want to talk about my Jaguars exposures, although they're less than I'd like them to be. And that actually is helping me. So thank you for the reminder. I'm just going to pull up Underdog and we can get into a draft regardless. Let me,
Roger that.
Over.
Are you going to share exposures first, or are we going to join the draft first?
We can join the draft first.
Hold on. All right, say the word.
Well, I can't right now because I'm in the exposures. I can just go back though. 3, 2, 1, deduct.
Ruh-roh. Did you make it?
Did you not? Yeah, you didn't get in?
I made it. No, I made it. Okay. Wow. We got the last 2 spots.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a friend from high school, Brandon. If I know you're gonna be watching this later, thanks for joining us. He's trying to max, and him and Matt both Matt has been. This is once in a while I get a text about any of these things, but both of you texted me the same thing at the exact same time today, within like 2 minutes of each other, and that was about Zach Benson. Which, even if he does make the team, it's probably not that big of a deal for this space. Anyways, though, let me show my top exposures quickly, and then we'll kind of move on. Owen Tippett has risen to the top. Not that astronomically high at 35%, but pretty good. Philippe Forsberg, as I mentioned, Ilya Samsonov. I know pretty bad showing in his last time out in preseason, but a lot of goalies have looked bad in preseason. I'm not that worried about it. Cole Caulfield's unsurprising. Konechny, I'm kind of, not trying to force one of the two, but I am often looking for a winger in that range. Werenski, there's Nazem Kadri, as we mentioned. He's getting a lot of my exposure late in drafts, especially as time goes on. And there's Chikrin. I just think he's going to be the Ottawa top power play now, and I have enough Shabbat that I took, in the late rounds early. Nylander, Duclair, Skinner, Najos. Skinner's falling because of Jack Campbell looking good, but it is what it is. I don't think there's anything else we really need to go crazy about. What?
I remember when you challenged me on my Chikrin over Chabot take at the very beginning of this.
Yeah, I did. And
well, our little DJ's grown up.
I would say that I think a lot of teams are probably going to adopt a bit more of a fluid power play situation that are in this, like Ottawa, and we see it a little bit with New Jersey, at least attempting it. So I'm not thinking that Shabbat's not seeing any power play run. It's not enough, and he should have fallen a bit back, which he has. And I think Chikrin should be a little bit more. So yeah, no, you were right. I was wrong. That's fair. I'll just say it.
Yeah.
But Shabbat's not undraftable. Like, people are drafting Darnell Nurse at 110. Like, Darnell Nurse had 2 power play points last year. I mean, it's like, the only thing I'll say is with Darnell Nurse is he still had a very, very good fantasy season in this format, and he had 2 power play points. So who's to say? I mean, I faded him completely last year. He was totally fine. Okay, well, making it easy on me with Kucherov. I'm gonna. Wow, Kucherov, and I think I'm gonna take Tage. I'm gonna get weird. I'm just gonna start with the Kucherov Tage. Tage is flying up. I have a lot of very, very late. I have 3rd round Tage exposure in my stuff, and I probably don't need to do this, but I'm gonna do it here.
And loves his Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have not drafted much Tage or Pedersen. If you can see, with a 2.3%, and I'm not scared that's going to bury me. I'm not that worried about it. I may grab a couple more, elite centers at the top as we round things out here. We'll see. So you're coming back up here. You took Pasta, correct?
Yes.
What is your take on the Pasta versus Matt Tkachuk? Kind of feels like I pretty interchangeably.
Pasta is 1,000% my wing one. I am taking Rantanen over Matthew Tkachuk now at the 6th slot. So I don't think it's even close between Pastrnak and Matthew Tkachuk. I think a lot of Matthew Tkachuk's value is sort of derived from his on ice effects. He's not a guy who will get you a ton of shots. There's a ton of hits and blocks, but despite his sort of despite his reputation, Rantanen is basically right there alongside him. And I don't think that Tkachuk runs the power. Oh, I'm about to auto draft.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Cool. I assumed you.
Nylander's fine. That's fine. Okay.
I was very certain you had that. I'm sorry. I should have said something. Yeah. I was like, why are you taking him so long to take Nylander here? All right, go on.
Yeah, no. And so I think the main drawback with Tkachuk is that he's really not going to be handling the puck that much on their top power play. Like, it's going to be Barkov, it's going to be Montour when he's back, and it's going to be yet to be named. Like, is it Reinhardt on the left flank? Is it going to be Verhaeghe again? So there's a lot less, I think, to the idea that Tkachuk's just power play point percentage, on the power. I just don't think it's to be that great. When they do well, he's not going to have a Kucherov-ish 85% involvement on power play goals. Whereas I think Pastrnak could this year. Pastrnak historically has been in the 70% range, but just the way that their power play is changing with no Bergeron, I think it's going to flow through the left side of the formation more. So I think that Pasta's season from last year is honestly average expectation for him. I think he could absolutely nuke this season. I have no concerns with Pavel Zacha. Like, they showed good chemistry last year. David Krejci was not good last year, and they still did this. So, like, I think that Pastrnak is the clear wing one in fantasy. I would consider taking him over McKinnon at pick 4 as well, but I haven't been forced with that dilemma quite yet. So yeah, to me, that's an easy call.
Okay. I think it's more than fair. You also took Saros over Georgiev there. I'm a little bit higher exposed to Georgiev, I think, and I'm kind of think I'm going to try to spread that out. I'm pretty even on them, but I do like the goalie talk. So Andrei Vasilevsky was already asked about. Clearly, maybe not clearly, but maybe 40 is a little too early. Are you thinking there's a nice little range where you can say, you know what, I'm taking that stab?
I haven't been faced with a draft lobby where he drops a ton quite yet. So uh I guess I'm not really sure where I would take him. I think once I get to the middle of the 5th round, I would actually consider taking Vasilevsky. I think the idea though is that you basically just have to bet that he's like coming back and healthy, and a back injury is something you never want to mess with. We saw Mark Stone basically miss several months last year just to try and get ready to come back for the playoffs. And with Vasilevsky, I don't think Tampa's going to miss the playoffs, so there is a very real possibility that like he gets rested, and so there is a lot more downside, I think. But in this format, you're not really like, I don't really think you care about like what his average expectation or what his downside is. I think when you take him, it's all about what can he get you in those playoff weeks. And quite frankly, he could get you a 4-start week in the playoffs where he plays on, both legs of a back-to-back, assuming Tampa's chasing down the 1 seed or something like that. Like, it's certainly within the range of outcomes. And just given how good the team is, given how good he is, I think once you sort of start to look at him versus like the Jaris and Samsonov of the world, I think it's reasonable to say, yeah, I'm punting, goalie for the first 2 months, but ideally you're drafting 2 goalies who are healthy for now anyway. And it would be more concerning if 3 months into the season, it's basically akin to saying, yeah, this guy got hurt and he missed a month. That's kind of what you're doing with Vasilevsky, but you're just sort of knowing that he's out, which is why I think he's dropping. But we see him go at 41. That's pretty standard at this point. So
That
doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's not an auto either. Right? I mean, yeah, this guy, Spliffy.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. All right, so I will. Let's see. I have Dougie and Forsberg and Fiala. I have Forsberg ahead of Gaudreau, Caulfield, and then Fiala. I love me some Kevin Fiala, but I actually have those guys ranked ahead of him just personally. So
sure,
I'll take Forsberg.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right about where the normal would be for Fiala and Gaudreau. I actually he's been slipping a bit. I don't know. Yeah, take him here or there. Not that worried about it. Let me think. What else in this range could we discuss? There goes Evan Bouchard. So I guess it's a tradition of people that went to our high school for taking Evan Bouchard too early. That's cool. I guess I'll be the only one to break it. Nice.
You just have some of the weirdest hills to die on.
I love Evan Bouchard so much too. I'm so overexposed to him in drafters too. I think that really suits him exactly. They're like, let's take all the good parts of Evan Bouchard and put them together, and then he'll score in that. And I'm just like, you're right. I'll take him here all day. Like, he's going like 6 defense. I mean, he was literally going undrafted in a few of them. So, yeah, got a lot of Bouchard over there where it's like you get rewarded for being on the power play. Okay, neat. No, yeah, I don't know. It's just I know there's some things that get you mad, and Evan Bouchard's one of them. So that's all I had to say there. Yeah, this range, I have a couple. I still have a 0 on Stamkos, which I think is wrong, but maybe it's not. I think it's possible.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wrote about that in my Fades article, and I have quickly rectified my transgression. So
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think this will be the place where I continue to up my exposure. I'm now at 6.4%, so almost there at the 8.5 you would expect. But it does look like Dougie goes right before me. So
it's your call here.
Let's take a look.
Taking
Yeah,
Adam Fox to it.
I'm feeling a little light on Jack Eichel. I've fallen down to 8.2% Jack. I want to be at least with the field, if not a little bit over on Jack. So I'll reach a few spots, pass up JT Miller, Barkov, and Stamkos to get me some Eichel.
Yeah, 9.3 for me, and I was kind of shocked that he didn't show up in that 20% or more. I feel like I draft him all the time. Yeah, I don't know. That is interesting. God, it's a good call. There goes Stamkos anyways on me. I was going to take him 100% with Kucherov there. I did the classic streamer thing where you say what you're going to do, basically. So here we go. We're getting to an interesting spot. I'm on the clock in drafters as well, as my watch tells me. If you're drafting on drafters, we're down to 2 hours per pick, and it's going to be an hour. I think over the weekend it'll be an hour. I think something like that. So keep an eye on that. But luckily, I think I'm not going to get completely screwed on goalie, which is nice. There's 2 people in front of me, and there's 4 goalies on the board I could reasonably take. So I'm excited to at least not get crushed there. I had 0 Jesper Bratt, and after the Bratt trick game, I am actually a little bit nervous that he is going to be unreal for New Jersey. And I've just not been taking him, as I think I mean, I still think this is too high. Like I very much do, but he might be someone I consider a little bit more. I think I'm gonna take Demko. And do I just take Jari too?
I think you can for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I'm debating, but I think I'm just going to do it. I'm going to leave Sam's. I'm 31.8% Samsonov. That is why I'm not taking him here. Like I still love the guy. That's not one preseason game that actually is going to get me. I'm not very worried about the backups either in Toronto. Like I know I actually took my first Wool exposure. Can I spell? Now I have that 0.8, but the other backup is Martin Jones, who doesn't make me feel anything. So yeah, I'm fine with Samsonov still. This is not a anti-Ilya Samsonov being good podcast, so don't worry. Unless if you're against him.
No. I have no ill will toward Samsonov. I'm in the background trying to figure out the setup for the question that Billy asked a bit earlier about by round. I don't know.
Nice,
I can't think of English words, but I'm trying to multitask here. And in any case, I think there's some comments you can go through, and then I'll screen share after maybe.
Okay, yeah, I was I turned the comments off by accident. I didn't mean I clicked on banners. So yeah, we'll do another draft always when we finish up, when we close this out. So don't worry if you miss this one. How much overlay do you think there'll be? I'm hoping
None.
0, but
today
was definitely on pace to get it full. So I think it'll be little to none. And with the way baseball went down, I'm pretty sure Kitties also agrees. Yep, I believe Yossi was right at about 20% for me. I pull that back up again.
And to be clear, I think that was because you said a lot of that was early on when he was like a 4th and 5th rounder. So, yeah, I think we reviewed that a couple weeks ago just to see.
Okay, you took Toffoli. Okay.
Yes, I took Toffoli over Marchessault.
Over Bratt too.
Yeah. Big surprise.
You know, I do think this is actually because he's saying TNT is weird for you. I think I'm becoming like, with all of my sports teams being so bad and breaking my heart so often, that I'm actually probably under drafting the Sabres, because I'm just like, oh, they're going to ruin me again. There's no way they're actually going to help me. So yeah, it does feel weird to take Tage and be like, you're gonna win me money. Okay, what's up?
Yeah,
Moody's drinking beers. You didn't say anything about drinking beers on the show. I had no idea.
I just had one with dinner. This is my chalk top glass, but I had a Wegmans had the Jenny pineapple Kolsch's in, so I had
to by the way
up on those. Yes. Okay. Yeah, this is where it gets pretty gross. So I am perfectly fine taking Huberto. Believe it or not. I think Huberto versus Drew, Raquel, Tippett, like Bushnevich, like yeah, I think Huberto is the better selection there. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's fine. I took my first Huberto today. Actually, I believe it was my first. It could have been my second, but I think it was my first. And I was like, all right, I'm taking Lindholm 100%, and he went one before me.
yeah. Let's see.
And
There's
I
a
like
few
Kadri
more.
just as much, if not more. But I mean,
I don't know if you covered the format or not, but the NBA format I think is super interesting. Quite frankly, I think I would prefer that just because it's more skillful to draft a team that's good over the course of an entire season versus 3 weeks, some distance in the future. Um, but yeah, I don't think we'll get it. I also think it's kind of necessary for the industry to like for hockey and baseball, like to have that sort of focal point versus just like it's kind of a slog. And yeah, the NBA is a bit of a slog, but guess what? It's so popular that I don't really think people care about that. Baseball and NHL, I think you're not getting a ton of bang for your buck, like sweating it every night. So I think they need to do something to make like those weeks actually worth celebrating. So I don't think we'll see it anytime soon. And it was just such a difficult product because in the NBA it's so random. Like when guys are sitting, there's no correlation. So like you're not really building teams optimally anyway for like the playoff week. So you're kind of like missing a strategy element and you're just saying, okay, does this team have 6 games or 5 games in the championship round? And then you're just bumping those guys up, that have 6. It's just kind of a
yeah.
lame way to close. So I agree with what they did for the NBA, would prefer for
Mhm.
NHL, but I don't think we'll ever see it because it's not
We
necessary the way it is
we
there.
literally have it on drafters though, and that's
That's right.
why I maxed the first one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to max the second one. Just I need to max this first, and then I'll see. I'm at 3 or 4, and I'm going to do my best, but
Yeah.
I'm going to be out of town all weekend, so be tough.
Yeah. TJ, I'm not playing any NHL 24. I might get it. But I've tried to cut back on basically what I do now is I play video games for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half every night with Doug Leby, the guy behind the scenes on a lot of the tools and stuff that I'll talk about during the DFS season. But other than that, like we play Fortnite together. It's basically just like our way to unwind and just like compete and like do stupid shit and talk. But other than that, I'm really trying to not play like because I realized this past summer I played so much MLB The Show and like it's fun, but man, I wasted so much time doing that, and it's just like I don't know if I want to, like I enjoy hockey, like why not do shit like the newsletter and stuff like that. So come DFS season, I'm obviously far busier too, just making sure all my ducks are in a row. Um, so yeah, I might get it, but I don't think I'll play much of it. In any case, it's just kind of I used to be really good, but now I just doesn't. When you don't play a lot, it turns out you get worse at the game.
Yeah, I've gotten like more into watching people. Like I can't watch Twitch. Like it's just too time consuming. But I'll watch like YouTube videos of like Twitch streams now. And I like mentioned that to a couple of friends. And I feel like everyone, when you reach like almost 30, like you just start to do that. Like before bed,
Yeah,
I swear like everyone I mentioned that to is like, I do that too. Like I'm like, yeah, it's kind of nice. Like I don't want to, I don't know. People are really good at these things. I don't know, but I mean, no one asked me, but I only played the Switch, and I haven't got a new system since the Xbox 360 for Christmas when I was like 12, other than buying a Switch because I don't
can
know. Honestly, I
confirm
really
we've.
don't know. But now I'm holding to it that I'm not buying a new system until they release an NCAA football video game.
Hey, well, you might be in luck soon. But yeah, Doug and
They
I have
do
been
it
begging for that. Yeah, that's true. But
every year.
Doug and I have been begging for that just every year. We're like, hey DJ, you gonna use that money to buy this? No, it never happens. So all right, after
Yeah.
this round, I'll share my exposures by position for each round. I don't think it'll surprise anyone, but yeah, it, I'll share it after I make my picks here.
Yeah. How many like hours in a day do you spend in Excel in total? Because is it like the majority of your workday too?
It depends. I spend almost all my day in either Excel or PowerPoint. We have a SQL thing at work that I've learned how to use, but I don't actually know how to program in SQL. But yeah, probably 60%. It's pretty gross. I'm either sending an email on a call or in Excel or PowerPoint. So you would think I'd be better at it than I am, but like in PowerPoint, I'm freaking helpless. It's pretty funny to try and to reflect on just how bad I am for the hours I put in.
Is also I have to ask while you're after this pick, did Kemper come back at all? Because I guess got the 35 save bonus for Olmark. Is Kemper
Oh,
getting there in overtime?
what? I don't even what's going on.
It's 4-4 in OT.
Capitals won in overtime.
Oh, they won. Oh, that's gonna kill it.
Yeah, I mean, I had Kemper, so he didn't get negative with that win, but I
mean,
not,
13.5. Honestly, 13.5 for Olmark is kind of nuts.
Carlson 3-point bonus. Kuznetsov. Olmark definitely got there with that shots bonus. Dude, I'm so salty. Connor McMichael was not a center. I was looking at that last center slot and was like, oh, Connor McMichael, and then I saw he was a wing, and I was like, damn it, can't play him. So yeah,
I'm just debating the way you pick both. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna just maybe make one little edit to my lineup. I'm just double checking a couple things. I might just write what I have, honestly. We have 10 minutes to lock, so I'll make these picks and then I'll double check my lineups. But I don't think I'm going to get there. I did play J Rob though. You needed J Rob. You probably needed John Carlson too though. So I'm probably dust.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, Kemper hasn't gotten the win yet, but I might hold on to min caching.
I guess I'll point out too while we're talking about something in the slate. Talbot is starting, and what is seemingly a dress rehearsal for night one is what they called it. So it does seem like Talbot will get the net to start.
Agreed.
Does it matter? Maybe not.
That stood out to me. It definitely, I think it makes it more likely than not that it's a true 40-40 type or 50-50 in terms of percentages type.
I think so.
Yeah. Type split between the two guys. So my Copley shares have dwindled over the last couple weeks anyway, as I got that sense. But I'm not overly I would rather at this point I think Hakkinen has a good grasp on the San Jose job. I'm keeping an eye on the next few days to see if we get any news out of Chicago, whether Mrazek or Soderblom is going to be the guy, if we get any sort of indication of that, because I think that's another spot where they're not likely to have great weeks, but if they win 2 games in a week, guess what? They're going to get a ton of shots, a ton of saves, and likely compete with some of the big boys that you draft. So yeah, I don't think the LA goalie situation is that attackable at the current time though. All right, so
I'm gonna grab Kyrou and McAvoy. I don't really like anything here, but I do love Kyrou. I think he's maybe underappreciated, be the right word, for what he can do. I think his ceiling is. I think I'm not. Maybe age might be high, but I think he's definitely has that kind of shooter profile. So if he can start burying a few more, which I think is possible. Go ahead and share this.
Yeah, let's take a look. So again, sorry for the zoomed out nature. I don't really know, but you can see on the bottom, it's, draft starting in round 1 and moving onward, what are my positional exposures. So you can see that I'm not taking anyone that's not a center or a wing in round 1. It's about 50-50. I've been pretty lucky with my top 4 selections. I have 12% McDavid and 20 something percent Matthews, just because I take him at 2 and 3. So, that's pretty straightforward. As we move along, also, I'm not really sure why these don't all quite add up. I probably screwed something minor up in my, or just the positions are
next.
Weird. Okay. But you can see mainly that in round 3, I take whatever goalie falls as far as I have that glut. Okay. I have that glut of goalies pretty well established, above the rest of the field. I want to be over on each of those goalies. I've talked about this several times. My plan is to grab a wing in the second round and then take in the third round whoever falls in net. So you can see I'm rather light on the defensemen and the centers, and even the wings that go in that range. So as we move along, we sort of see where I'm more likely to take a wing than not. Like the 4 or 5 range, I think is where it really dries up. That's where the Caulfields, the Forsbergs, that range we were talking about tend to live. And then later on, you see my centers, 14, 15, 16. I think that those guys are very comparable to the guys you get in round 10, 11, 12, 13. So, like, yeah, why not take them later when I can grab wings when they sort of fall off, and the goalies in D especially tend to fall off in my estimation, in this 10 to 13 range. So that's sort of like the visual representation of how I've been drafting. But I don't think there's anything too surprising there based on what we've talked about and some of our like player takes and roster construction takes. So let's throw it back to you for the conclusion of this draft.
Sure. Yeah, we're looking at the 10-11 turn. Matt with one center. Actually, another thing I kind of talked about with this person was like, if you've been kind of spreading the wealth early a lot, then maybe getting weird now is a good time to start doing more of your like 5 winger starts and get it, maybe like a 5-0-5-0-1. I've really done a lot of that where I've just taken a lot of wingers and goalies to start in many of these drafts, and maybe doing something like you did would be helpful. So I'm kind of starting to spread the wealth a little bit more earlier just to get exposure to some different builds. I'm still drafting with very similar principles, but just again, if I can have a couple Kyrou Thompsons out there just in case, like what if those are the guys in the final leagues you needed for whatever reason? Like there's no perfect science to it, but I am trying to just kind of spread my draft capital a bit more.
So when you say that, do you mean positionally, like within players? Are you reaching more like in the early rounds to try and get different
no
combinations? What do you
reaching.
mean by that?
Yeah, no real reaching. I just don't think it's necessary over 150 drafts to reach at any time really. So not reaching, but trying to just use earlier draft capital on not wingers. As you can see,
I see. Okay.
I had 3 in the top 40 picks, but then I kind of stopped a little bit. I took Raquel and then I haven't taken anyone else. So it's like a 2-4-2-2. I don't do that very often. So it's just kind of like naturally getting unique for myself, not for the field. Just having some different exposures built in that I'm not used to. Like I don't think I've ever drafted Carlson and McAvoy, like probably ever. I'm not sure if I ever drafted Tage and Cairo. That's actually a maybe because Cairo is pretty high for me. But just because I normally would say I'm not taking Cairo here, 3 after ADP, it's just not enough. So yeah, I pretty boxed out on wingers. I think I'm just going to continue to not take wingers here and get extra weird. And by doing so, I'm going to take more Chikrin and lock up defense. And I'm going to take more Grubauer, who I'm very high on. I'm going to lock up goalie. And then I'm going to finish with a lot of wingers.
Yeah. When we get there, we can talk about some of the guys that you're targeting late at wing.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The Matt Coronado steam would be immaculate right now if this were the NFL. The way you were saying with Forsberg, the Coronado just absolute bazooka.
Oh, I know.
The other night, boy, like I mean that is the equivalent of an 80-yard touchdown run by some hotshot rookie that winds up playing 3 snaps a week for the New York Jets or something. So I feel pretty good about Coronado at this point, given where he's been lining up. It's been firmly with the third line and Backlund, which I don't love, but I think also means that if they're willing to break up the third line, that it's almost certain that if he's any good, he's getting a shot like with good players. So Matt Coronado is one of those guys that doesn't get drafted, all that often. That I'm probably going to end up with 5 or 6% of, just because I want to be in if he's good this year, but he's going to be like 1% by the field, so I'm not going to get up to like 10, 15 or anything crazy like that.
I'm not going to do another draft on stream, by the way, just to answer this question really quick. I I gotta
Yeah.
record 2 videos after this.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm in the overflow draft. I rejoined right after this one started. So I'll probably be in drafts all night, but not streaming them either. So
all
that's
right.
that's
Well,
where it needs to be
I
clear.
was gonna look up something for a lineup, but I'm just gonna play Dubois, Fiala, and Kempe, I guess, and move on, even though it's not perfect, and not care. Go goal chasing. I'm probably out of it anyways. Just hope that they go crazy.
Makes sense.
Whatever. Um, Bedard had another assist, by the way.
The guy's very, very good. Very good.
Yeah, it was it was I think Hall primary, but whatever. Murphy goal, in case you're wondering who scored it.
Great. I was shocked to, or I was really desperate to figure it out. Moods take Wilson. Where did Wilson end up going?
He just went, yeah. You went, yeah. Like
Right after me.
right,
Okay.
yeah. He was the
Yeah.
top ADP winger, and he scored tonight. And it honestly, with a nice little goal bumper on the power play, I say put him there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally what they're gonna do because we
That's the
know the
power play
Capitals.
runs through Tom Wilson in Washington. Everyone
Yeah.
knows it.
Tom Wilson takes the penalty. They draw 2 more penalties to get a 4-on-3 power play. And then Tom Wilson comes out of the box, goes net front on the 5-on-3 and scores.
There it
Easy
is.
game.
It never has been easier. Speaking of the Capitals, are you thinking Kuznetsov or anything for your last center? I mean, Couture gone. Are you thinking Hurdle
I
maybe as
have,
well?
yeah.
Although, yeah, did you see the coach speak today on Couture?
I have not seen today's update.
It was basically that they're like optimistic he has a chance to be back by game 1, but it didn't sound promising as he's not skated with the team yet. So it kind of felt like we're really hopeful, but yeah. So I don't, that, I mean, they're not going to start him on anything, IR related. It doesn't sound like. So I expect him to be with the team in short time, but yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
have some exposure. No need to go crazy.
Yeah, the Kuznetsov piece is interesting. I cooled off a little bit because it does not seem like he will be on the ice with Ovechkin at least to start the year. It seems like they're trying to go back to the OV Backstrom 5-on-5 layout, which it doesn't really matter that much because it looks like Kuznetsov will be on the power play 1 under Spencer Carberry, just alongside Backstrom and Carlson and Ovi and Oshie in the bumper spot. So like it seems like their standard power play, which I like, and I think Kuznetsov is a worthwhile gamble in the last round. I'm not super high on him though, just because there's not a good chance that he offers up anything in terms of hits and blocks, and like he's gonna need like a 90-point season to really be usable. Just for random spike weeks and whatnot. Like, sure, he could go for 10 points in 4 games in the playoffs, and like, yeah, that's all you need. But I'm not like super high on him or anything, but I am sprinkling him in. He doesn't get drafted all that often either, so I think 4 or 5% of him, I'm totally fine too, and feel confident that I'll be over on the field.
Sure. Also,
but yeah,
yeah.
Hurdle. I'm pretty light on Hurdle. I think Couture is a better fantasy player than Hurdle is. So like obviously I've not been taking Couture with this like possible injury and re-aggravation type concerns, just because why? There's so many good centers, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Hurdle's like fine. Like I don't think you're wrong for being heavy on him, because I think you do want to be heavy on certain types of players, and those types of players that I would rather be heavy on are not, the third line center in Tampa, or, I'm sure some third line center actually does get drafted more often than these types. But the type I'm more interested in is the really bad team, but they're going to be on the ice a ton. They're going to be on the first power play. Maybe they're even first over the boards to kill penalties. Like if you wanted to tell me like, yeah, I'm going to be a Nick Suzuki guy this year, like, I'm not there with you, but I think that's the sort of guy that you need to just bet on in the late rounds at center, because he's going to be on the ice so much. Like if he steps up in terms of any of his rate areas, like the opportunity will follow. Like it's there, the opportunity. So That's for sure a better bet than at the center position saying like, oh, this guy's really good, but like he might not have the opportunity just because it's such a vast difference in center and wing in terms of what you actually need to be better than like the best player you're not drafting in a lobby.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we are also getting to super late round goalie time too. I had a couple more versus Lincoln's drafts today. I have no Flurry. I'm still drafting Schmid at a decent clip. I know he was also bad in preseason, and I don't care. I still have 0 Copley, which I feel fine about still. I'm not that worried about. I took my first Spencer Knight share. I guess I really haven't been going too crazy. I think I'm done with Kapanen. I mean, he might. Blackwood looked like dust. I don't know how people saw him start a game and didn't even consider drafting him. He played like an AHL team and got completely roasted. But yeah, I'm not really finding myself having to take too many late round goalies. And normally it's just been Schmid and Montembeau. Anything down here that maybe I should have considered? I know Hopper's gone before. Anyone else?
Um, okay, so the only players. Let me make my pick before.
Oh yeah, you are on Z clock.
Oh,
Kadri's still there for you.
Yeah, he is. We'll see. I wanted to get another wing I was confident in before Vrana went away. So
they are gone.
yeah. All right, and I'm on the clock in this one too because I'm just so popular.
The overflow.
Yeah. Stop it,
Two
guys.
videos to do.
Okay, so in terms of like these late round goalies, I actually prefer Kakinen to Montembeau when push comes to shove. We talked about Copley. I just think there's, like you said, Blackwood has been terrible. Like Jake Allen at least has been decent. Like I don't think he's in their future plans or anything. So Montembeau certainly has a decent chance, and I have some of him as well. But those are the only two guys right now that I feel confident in clicking in. I'm not that interested in like the Akira Schmids and the I know you said you don't have any Marc Andre Fleuries, but like those types of guys that are like guaranteed to play 35-ish starts. I just don't think that really matters. And yeah, sure, a guy could get hurt and all of a sudden he's driving the bus on a good team. I get it, but it's just not really something that I'm overly excited to make a bet on. So usually the last goalie that I'm taking is the Vijmelka. Like he's usually the last goalie on the board that I'm taking more than 10% of the time. Everyone else is just like, fine, I'll sprinkle you in if I absolutely need to. Aiden Hill or Elvis or Copley. We talked about Montembeau, Kakinen. Like those are just guys I'm looking to sprinkle more than like actually feeling good about. And I feel pretty good about Vijmelka being a bona fide starter all year long.
Oh wait, okay. It's showing up. I was gonna look up something, but then I decided not to, and I just clicked on the Eagles. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm losing it here. We're almost done with this, and I'm already thinking ahead to my streams. My videos. This is a stream, and next I do videos. What were we talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about goalies.
You're not afraid of Connor Ingram?
Yeah, no, like that's sort of the point where it's like, yeah, like I don't think Vijmelka is going to play 60 games or anything, but like I think he gets 50 pretty easily.
Soderblom. What about?
Yeah, that's the thing I said. I'm keeping an eye on the next couple of days to see if we can figure out whether Soderblom or Mrazek is going to be the number one there to start the year. But obviously, there's not a ton of upside being the Chicago goalie, so like I'm not, I just don't think there's a way you can make that decision right now. They also have Drew Comesso, who theoretically could get starts, especially later in the year in the playoffs.
Yep.
So not something I'm overly excited about. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm just kind of messing with you. I mean, as you can see by this draft again, I mean, there are times where I'll take a late goalie, just because I've also had times where I've taken Sorokin and Jari, and then I'm not going to take one for a while. But yeah, it's few and far between. Coming to the conclusion here, the final picks. I am going to begin my final two selections by queuing Josh Norris. I think I'm going to take him here to go with Chikrin. Whether they correlate or not in the power play, it's yet to be determined. But I still
Are
like Josh Norris.
you worried about his injury? Because I'm worried. I'm officially worried. I'm stopping taking him.
I'm worried, but not worried enough.
Okay. So,
They said
I
he's gonna.
just
They said they believe he's gonna start the season.
I know they're just taking it easy. It's just it just sucks. I don't think we can trust his shoulder to hold up.
I'm
And
gonna
like
take
it actually
Burakovsky.
makes me want to cry.
Burakovsky's back. I think he's draftable. I'm going to get a little more Burakovsky exposure with Bjorkstrand. I'm not sure if that's ever going to matter, but it might not. They might never correlate a 5-on-5 or a power play, but you know what? I'm going to put them both on this team just in case.
Yep. All right, let's see.
Ooh, Matt Barzal. Now we're getting wild. Was it
Jack
Barzal
Campbell.
and Brock? Wow, the five center. Oh, yeah, people are taking it. I've seen it. 5 centers. This team had promise, and then he just is like, I got to get 2 Islander centers that aren't correlated at 5-on-5. Interesting.
Indeed. Sometimes you just got to take your guys.
You're on the clock in our draft next. I'm not sure if you're on the clock in the other draft at all right now.
I just grabbed Aho at pick 107, ADP 89.
Yep. Yeah, I've taken a couple of those now. He is falling off the mat, man.
Yeah.
That's
So here's your
correct.
cliff notes on where I'm at right now. This last pick, I tend to take one of about 5 guys or so. Kaliev, Eli Tolvanen, Slavkovsky, Gallagher, and Niederreiter. I think all those guys have different upside cases. I think the one I just took Tolvanen. I think he's the guy I feel the best about, just because what we saw last season was basically him playing like 2/3 of the year, and by the end of the year, I mean almost right away, but by the end of the year especially, he had basically earned like the trigger man role on their top power play unit. Now I understand part of that was with Burakovsky out, and he probably gets some aspects of that opportunity, but being the guy across from Jared McCann on the power play, it's going to be lucrative. So when you consider his prospects pedigree, the chance that he had flashes in Nashville and didn't really follow through on it, I think he's the sort of best combination of like true talent and like actual tangible opportunity. I think the full like question mark, he could be anything, is Slavkovsky. Like, he came in as the number 1 overall pick, played right away, suffered through some injuries. But if Montreal is going to take a step forward, like, it's very possible that he winds up playing alongside Kirby Dach or Nick Suzuki at center. And if, another year older, another year of development, like he could certainly be a guy who muscles his way up to the pick 100 range. It's not like he's got to beat out some superstars for playing time there. Like power play 1 might have Rafa Harvey Pinard on it. Like, Slavkovsky is just total, like, we haven't seen it, but he's the sort of guy, like, yeah, you can certainly bet on it. And that wing, that's pretty rare to find. The other guys I listed were Gallagher. I mean, Brendan Gallagher, like, Jesus Christ. If the guy can stay healthy, he is Tom Wilson, like that he is that mold of player. And I just don't think he's been drafted at all because he's not been healthy. Like, he's been so hurt. It's been so disappointing for a guy who just stands in that front and jams pucks. But there's an opportunity on this team, of course. So I'm going to have like 2% Gallagher, but I'm considering him right now. And then who was the last guy? Oh, Kaliev. Kaliev has basically stuck his role alongside Dubois and Fiala. So as long as that happens, he's going to be in play. Absolutely. So all those guys, I think, make a lot of sense. Late, I've already mentioned Matt Coronado, sort of like the prospects. A lot of options. I don't think you're necessarily wrong to target almost anyone. Like, I think you just need to be realistic about what their upside case looks like. Like for me, I don't think Jason Zucker has the upside case that we're looking for, because even if he is good, I think if he's good, he's getting traded at the deadline to a team that's going to stick him on their 4th line. Like, that's, and guess when the trade deadline comes, right after the trade deadline is the fantasy playoffs. So like, okay, great, he helped you make the playoffs. Now he's a total zero. I don't know. So I don't really think a guy like that has a great case to go. But yeah, I mean, there's so many guys that I'm not going to talk about all of them individually. So, all right, DJ. Yeah, sure. Bunting. Does he go before the last round now, or is he going in the last round? Did DJ just up and leave?
No, I muted myself. No, he went right here, 169.
Yeah, so he's usually going before round 16, like, but sometimes he goes in round 16. He's not the sort of guy that I'm considering like a 0%er. He's not going in 1% of drafts. I think he's going in 30-40% of drafts, which is fine, but just not the
You
sort of
should,
thing
but
I'm
I
really
think,
looking
yeah, I think he
for.
should be. Like, I think he's kind of an all rates guy that could be now in a top 6 role again. And yeah, I'm down
Yep.
for it.
Yep.
And then yeah, no
Seemed like
one
his
took
power
Duclair.
play too.
Yeah, no one took Duclair in this draft, was interesting. I considered it, but went
Yeah.
Burakovsky instead. I don't know, kind of whatever. Yeah, let's just get into it. We'll run through all the teams. I guess I'll start. Why not? I was trying to see if this made this. Yeah, this doesn't really make it any. It makes
Yeah,
it
that's
bigger,
a
but
little better, honestly. Well,
all right,
just
we'll
don't
do it.
show
It'll
us, I
be
guess. Yeah.
yeah. So first team went with McDavid, Brett, who, by the way, I know is either in here or maybe listen later. So definitely in a lot of these lobbies, I think looking to max McDavid, Hyman. So pretty typical start. We've mentioned the concerns there, but it is. We're not roasting, by the way. I have no energy left.
That's fine.
Yossi, Gaudreau, Kreider. I think it was kind of had to at that point. The Yossi get is to try to win defense as well, to get off the wingers. I like the bet on Skinner here with Corpusalo. Like, I think that's fair. I think Corpusalo honestly is. I think he's going a little bit too late. Like, I think he's probably should go ahead of Kemper and maybe probably Vanacek for sure, but maybe Kemper as well. In my opinion, I don't really know why he's continued to stay down as far as he has. I'm not sure if you have another opinion on that, but fair enough. Pietrangelo, yeah, I've taken a ton of him. I think it's a little above ADP, but it's probably a little early. But I guess whatever. For Hagee, Lekanen, big fan. I would have waited on defense, but I get it. Chris Letang is very, very late now comparatively to where he started. Swayman, yeah, you're pretty boxed out on goalies. It's worth a bet. He could see 22, 25 wins for sure. Nachos, Bunting. I'm not taking any Matthias Michelli, but fair enough. It's a good team. No problems really. Just a couple spots I probably would have gone a little different, but nothing insane. So what do you think of our high school friends team here? He was watching to start, but he said he had to go. He texted me, by the way.
Cool. Yeah, I mean the Draisaitl Bouchard. Like, if you're gonna take Draisaitl, that's, I think, how you
Wait,
gotta
hold on.
play it in the
I'll
14.
read his. He texted me exactly this. He said, Bouchard to Leon is going to be the goal to advance, and the haters will hate. Talk about me.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Draisaitl's whatever. I totally would take Matthews at the 2, but it's fine. Gensel, Ottinger, Skinner, Ellers, Konechny, just doing what we do while loading up on the wings before they fall off of an absolute cliff. Sebastian Aho, second center, perfectly fine. He's probably going to have to pick up the slack a lot for Mr. Leon Draisaitl, who disappears for weeks at a time. But yeah, Taylor Hall, Seth Jones, nice little mini. Justin Falk, probably my favorite late round defenseman. And then Schmid, wrap up goalie, Nick Suzuki, wrap up center, and Slavkovsky. He's either listening or just on the same wavelength as me. So yeah, solid team.
Yeah, no problems there. And we actually, me with him, talked about Schmid quite a bit. And I was like, I feel like at this point, and with the books kind of putting Vanacek at like 25 or 26 and a half wins, it's cat's kind of out of the bag that like this could be like, if you think the books are right with the 108 point projection and that Vanacek's going to see 26, 27 wins, that means Speed is going to make up quite a bit of ground there. So definitely I like that pick, and I'm very exposed when I have to. Next is Matthews, Sorokin, DeBrincat, Caulfield, Marchand, and Marchessault. There's really no issue with any of these guys. I'm not that high into Brinket. I've made this kind of known, but I am getting a little bit more exposure now. And I think more and more people are kind of jumping a bit higher to get him just because of the next wing kind of. This is the dead zone, if you will, the winger dead zone. So I get it. But I don't know if he's worthy of the 27th overall selection is my problem there. That's why I'm often taking goalie, but regardless, Devin Levi too early, whatever. Devin Levi's the savior of my city. How could I be mad? Quinn Hughes, again, I'm much more of a fan of Quinn Hughes on drafters where like he's not going to hit, he's not going to block, but drafters doesn't count those. Do they count block shots? No, they count block shots, not hits. Yeah, I'm wrong. But regardless, I think, the power play point boost is just like where he's going to get a lot of his value. It's still, a guy that oftentimes is listed for 1.5.
They are, drafters, those two things, they devalue the defensive stats, which Quinn Hughes doesn't rack up, and they force 2 D starts a week, which means lower scores are just going to make it into your lineup, which means that you're sort of okay with like solid medians, but not really high ceilings. And I think that's exactly what Quinn Hughes is. He's not going to get you a ton. He's not going to get you those weeks where he has 30 blocks, 30 hits, and get you like 6 points or whatever. Like he's going to get you, some goals, some assists, mostly assists. But like he'll do that pretty regularly. So like you're not really stressing about filling 2 D slots there. So
I'm optimistic the shooting floor is going to go up on him. So I know last year that was promised. So what were you gonna say?
Tocchet says his slap shot is 20 miles an hour harder than last year, which seems pretty good if true. It's not true, but it seems pretty good if it
is. No way it's true, but yeah, I'm in. Captain Hughes to the moon. Anyways, Troy Terry. Have we just not seen Troy Terry? I was like thinking about, was he like going to be in the lineup tonight? I know Zegras makes sense, but have we seen Troy Terry once yet? I was thinking about that today.
I'm pretty sure we have, but they've played a lot of split squad games, and I think they're playing in San Diego too, a decent amount. So like,
they did do a couple. Maybe I just didn't really notice it because DFS. Okay, Malkin, Werenski. I'm very high on Werenski. I think that's a steal. I was kind of praying he'd get back to me, but alas. Tom Wilson, how can we complain? Power play 1 Tom Wilson potentially. Cam Talbot, I think, taking the news in seems fair. No problems there. Kadri, big fan. I'm not taking Klingberg. I think they're definitely, Quinn Hughes, Werenski, and you needed one more. I'm much more of a fan of Rasmus Anderson, Doughty, and Michael Matheson, which I think Michael Matheson is just very devalued. I know there's a minor injury to start the year, but it sounds like nothing, and he's fine and he's going to play.
Yeah, just for comparison's sake, John Klingberg is also like not skating. He's been out for almost a week now, and that just makes it all the more likely that Morgan Rielly gets to start on the power play 1, and therefore makes it more likely that they succeed and that he just stays there because they're succeeding. So I just, there's no one like that for Matheson. There's no one who's sitting there like, we're gonna take his job. Like, is it Justin Barron? Like maybe, but like probably not.
Right. Michael Matheson is a guy that I think like went undrafted early on, and that is we're gonna look back on that and say like, how the heck did we? If he plays 82, right? He could get injured. If he has a history of injury, starts the year injured. I get it. Okay. Then Matthew Nyes goes Klingberg and Matthews makes sense. You want Sam Olsen? I'm not going to say his name wrong this time.
Hey, you did it. Sam Olsen. Starting things off with 2 centers, McKinnon and Elias Pettersson. Scroll down. I think those are the only 2.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. So I think that's a perfectly viable strategy. You're just betting on McKinnon's health holding up over the season. But, when you invest 2 early picks like that, might as well use the extra capital on a different position that you're likely weaker in. So Fiala, Dougie, Jesper Bratt, in this lobby, he fell like, I don't know, 8-9 spots or something. Like, sure. If you're going to take a wing, you might as well take the guy that falls past ADP versus anything else. So I'm not going to hate that too much. Drake Batherson and Vladimir Tarasenko kind of feel duplicitous a bit. Like, maybe that's the point though. Like the idea is that one of them has a usable week, one of them gets on the power play. Honestly, that could make sense in some cases. And I think this team, where you're just trying to survive the other positions beyond center, might make sense the most to do that. Jamie Benn, Mark Stone, like, yeah, that's just, not guys I'm ever taking. Mark Stone, again, just I don't think he plays the full year personally. Brock Besser, Logan Thompson looks rather looks rather fine. Shabbat Anderson at D. So Manjapani. So what's that? Eight wings, exactly what you should be doing. I would quibble with the actual selections, but like, philosophically, that makes perfect sense and is a very unique way to attack this game, I think.
And again, just the speak out of talking to someone that goes through the Twitters of almost every team every day. The speak on Drake Batherson is this guy is world beating and is just completely cemented on the top power play, by the way. So I'm happy that my exposure is decent on him. You never know with coach speak. You've written about it. Could be, whatever. But it's been beat reporters just saying that. They're just like, man, this guy is just on another level. I definitely like him over Huberdeau, which you took next. I guess, do you want to break down your own team, though, and then we'll get back to it? But yeah, I do think that the Batherson kind of rise again makes sense, and it's probably would be higher in other sports where everyone was noticing these quotes. So what do you think of that, and what do you think of your team?
Yeah, so the main issue I have with the actual Batherson like power play in Ottawa is I just don't know how Josh Norris is going to be deployed with regards to that power play. Like, is he going to be on the top unit? Are they saving space for him? Is he going to just be a second unit guy all year? So I think there's still a lot of uncertainty that we just simply don't know the answer to. But from what I saw, Drake Batherson was playing the net front on the top unit, which to me is not good. Like, you don't want to see that. Maybe, along with Brady Tkachuk, obviously, but like he's sort of playing more of that like Alex Tuck role where he's not really touching the puck all that much. Maybe that changes. They've run so many different units out that it certainly could. But I want him on the left half wall, taking one timers. He's like their only right hand shot. So it makes sense to do that, but it seems like that's not where they've been using him from what I've seen. So, I could be wrong, but that's my main concern. It's just that the role that he's playing in isn't the same role that he had last year when he was like fine. And if he's not going to be alongside Stützle and Kachuk, like, yeah, you're really struggling. But let's see, my draft, Pasta, Nylander, Saros, Forsberg, Jack Eichel, Tyler Toffoli, Jonathan Huberdeau. Just trying to collect a bunch of wings. Grab Eichel, grab Saros as my anchors at those positions. I feel pretty fine about punting D with Josh Morrissey, Jacob Chuba, and I believe I capped things off with, you bet, Shea Theodore.
Shocking.
Right. I mean, the people are absolutely aghast at my decision making there. But after that, just capping things off with Vinny Trocheck, Jake Vrana, Dylan Cousins, like, that's I don't really see the difference between a Dylan Cousins and a Carter Verhaeghe or a Vinny Trocheck and like Mark Scheifele. Like, they just seem to have very similar ranges of outcomes to me. So like I'm perfectly fine with those lesser names. But yeah, Tolvin and we talked about all those late round wingers. So I don't know. It's a team that worked out the way I wanted it to, for sure.
Yeah, I think the bull case on a guy like Cousins, and you can make it with a lot of guys kind of in this lower range, is that Dylan Cousin was able to carry what I would say is, if not weak wingers that were very young and just not NHL ready. And you look at like the stats around him, and you could say a few different takeaways from that. But I do think that if you are bullish on the Sabres and you're bullish on like the ancillary pieces becoming better around Cousins, then his spot is going to be one that we really want to capitalize on more. And you can make that case for definitely guys like Sam Reinhart, and you could make it for Brock Nelson, or you could just, in general, like, yeah. So yeah, it's easy to make those cases for these players, but I think the profile on Cousins is really good. I have a lot of him, and I'm also a homer. I could go get my Dylan Cousins jersey out of my closet right now. Anyways, we'll move forward. Next is Ace Elliott, although I say Ace Elliott every time, and this is when I messed up. AC Elliott, nice job, PJ. Bat the Chuck, Kyle Connor, no complaints here. Georgiev, other big fan. Clayton Keller. I'm kind of taking more Forsberg than Keller, but if I think your order was similar to mine, I'd go Forsberg, Keller. Fiala Caulfield. Like that's the way I would just move it one spot, but no real issue. I'm spreading exposures. I know that's a maxer. Stole Steven Stamkos from me. How can I actually say anything negative? Gustafsson is falling quite a bit. I don't know if it's concern about Fleury stealing starts or not, but I like Gustafsson a good bit. I'm fine with it. I think Stewart, Skinner, and Gustafsson are at this point pretty similar. So kind of, I do think Jari and Samsonov are above them, but they're both fine. Sergachev as your first defenseman, I'm again totally fine with that myself. I think it's a little early at 78, but this is a guy that had very, very, very good floor stats in this format, and also the points really followed finally. If that continues and he continues to take away from Victor Hedman, and both of them probably are fine though, because they're both going to see a lot of minutes. I really do like him a lot in this format. Heishier to me feels a bit unnecessary. Whatever though, doesn't really matter. He's probably still going to be on top power play for one of the highest offensive teams, so he'll have some peak weeks. Hagel, and then Brandon Montour not going to start the year, but maybe that's not the right team to do it for. But whatever. Raymond, big fan. Russ, good. Reinhardt to go with Montour. Hopefully he's back soon. Lafreniere, I've taken quite a bit of, and like I kind of made a tweet about it, but I honestly just didn't know this, but like Lafreniere has a lot of hits. Both like really it went way up last year, but clearly it's like if this guy gets a bigger role, like those floor stats might be really, really useful. I'm not saying this guy's Tanner Janot or anything, but like it's a big boy, and I think he has a pretty good shot in there. So if he is in the top, with Savinajad and stuff, I do think he's going to be a really nice late round steal. Who is normally there in the 16th round. Drew Doughty, and then Holfer. Like I said, I'm not really taking Holfer, but last goalie in the entire lobby, I don't know what you really could have done. So Matt, you can take El Padrino.
Padrino, sure. Miko, Mitch Marner, Hellebuck. Let's see. It looks like Hellebuck was the last guy of that 5-some to go. Sorry, 6-some. So that's fine. That's how I'm doing it. Zavinajad, Fox, sure. Like, mini stacks, whatever. It's fine. Samsonov, Victor Hedman, Owen Tippett, RNH, Bertuzzi, Anders Lee. Yeah, I mean, you're not going too overboard yet. I think once you take the third center, which doesn't look like they do, I'm not sure, DJ, if you're going to scroll down anytime soon.
Sorry, I was looking at Kempe just scored. I got happy.
Oh, great. Tyler Bertuzzi. Oh, I already said this name. Aiden Hill, Vince Dunn, Ozzy Kopitar, Lawson Krause, and Druin. Yeah, Druin's not a guy I'm taking at all. I don't care where he plays. He's not getting there for fantasy, in my opinion. Ozzy Kopitar is interesting. I've taken him a bit also as my late round center of choice. Like, just if he can hold on for one more year, he's in a great spot. And I think his underlying numbers are a bit better than I was giving him credit for, just because DFS doesn't really credit the hits, blocks, whatever. Well, I guess blocks, but he's going to be out there in all three phases of the game. He's going to be out there with empty nets, so on and so on. So I do like that a decent amount. So to me, it's a little weak on wing with Bertuzzi, Lee, Krause, and Druin making up like a solid chunk. Anders Lee seems to be getting the short end of the stick on the island. I'm not really sure what they're doing with their power play units, but it seems like more nonsense similar to last year, and it's not really something I want to be a part of for a guy who's relying on others to feed him. Barzal, Horvat, like whatever, those guys can create their own offense together, so I'm not that worried about their situation. Noah Dobson and Brock Nelson, they're the other twosome that will connect fairly often. Everyone else, though, like Anders Lee, I just don't know who he connects with and whether he's going to be featured or not on this team. So it's a little weak at wing to me, but whatever. When you have Ranton and Marner to start, you're hoping they carry most of the load anyway.
That is very fair. And speaking of two winger builds, we have Spliffy with Brady and Ovi. Great rates, great guys, good stuff. I was a little bit surprised. Oh no, the Stutzel already went. Never mind. I think I was surprised because the Jack Hughes guy took Stutzel, and then Timo goes, but whatever. Connor Bedard, drink all the Bedard Kool-Aid you'd like. I think 32 is too early myself. Vasilevsky,
You're
yeah,
wrong.
I mean, okay. I love Bedard. I am very excited. I watch him every night except for tonight when we're recording. I was like, Sunday Night Football, get out of here. Connor Bedard's on. I
Hmm.
think he should probably be in the 40s, just to be honest. That team stinks. Have you been watching how bad Chicago is?
I don't really care because I mean Arizona's very bad, and look at what Clayton Keller did last year. Like,
Duly
he's
noted.
going to get all the opportunity. I think that's
I just don't think any of the players the cast they got around him is ready, unless if they put Lucas Reichel up there. And ready is the wrong term. They're either cooked, completely cooked, or I'm very nervous Taylor Hall is cooked. Um, so we'll see though. Taylor Hall, I watched one game with him and it looked bad. I did not watching tonight. Maybe it was just, I didn't really care about preseason and maybe he'll be fine.
yeah.
I'm not,
I
not
mean,
sure, but
Connor McDavid made Zach Cassian look good in his early career, so I'm not that worried about Taylor Hall looking bad next to Connor Bedard. So
you're right. You're right. Okay. Moving on. Vasi, I already talked about. I love Evander Kane in this format too. Just if he stays healthy, he's going to be a monster. This is a guy that was going at like the 2-3 turn last year, and the injuries have hurt him. Last year's was it like a laceration or something?
yeah, he
Like a
got
cut.
stepped on and he cut his
Yeah,
wrist. Yeah, he had to he literally had to get like tendons reattached and stuff. It was gnarly.
yeah, it was real bad, but everything sounds like he's 100%. So I mean, you never
Yeah,
know
I
with
mean
that kind of stuff, but he looked at
he was
yeah.
back. He was back in the playoffs and looked pretty good too. So
He's another 20%er in the DJ field. Mort Sider, definitely getting more of him. This is, I think, is a very small bit of a fall for him. Definitely like that pick. Tavares, I do like. And honestly, I think if a Bedard team, you might want to consider taking a winger a little bit early. I'm not winger, Jesus, a center a little bit earlier to make up for early in this career when he just might not have it the first few months, comparatively to playoffs when you're drafting him for. But anyways, Tushkin, good pick. Larkin, I think you've kind of gone too far now with allocating your center capital. Binnington being your starter for the year is not great either. Like, Vasilevsky's not going to play until December, so that's not helpful. Darnell Nurse, I don't know, again, not getting power play. It's correlated with Kane, I guess, in some capacity, like maybe the second power play. Pavelski, fine, whatever. Not a Robertson team, so it was interesting. Riley Smith, Merce Lincolns, Connor Brown, and Luke Hughes. I think you're just too much at the end here. That was just kind of felt like taking player. Yeah.
Connor Brown and Evander Kane make no sense to take together because they're fighting for one job alongside McDavid, basically, and one of those guys is going to be completely useless for DFS or for fantasy, in my opinion. Maybe they trade off weeks perfectly, but that's almost like a handcuff running back to me. Like they're not generating their own offense. They need to be playing with, McDavid or Draisaitl to be doing that. And I just don't see there being enough roles for both of them to be, smashing weekly. So,
well, you're preaching to the choir. Next
indeed,
is you. It's I don't know, Mike Nittany,
Mike and Nini, sure, whatever.
It'd be just like Mike N. Nye. Okay, go.
Robertson, Timo, well, never Timo, so Insta L there. Sidney Crosby, Panarin, yikes, Panarin and Timo. Not a mood. Oh my gosh, Miro Heiskanen and Alex Barkov. Okay, well, this is not a team that I'm very often drafting. You basically read my fades article and was like, hey, those are all guys I want to take. Darcy Kemper, I think you mentioned it. I think he's a really good pick even here, even though he's steaming up the board in for a decent team in Washington. That makes perfect sense to me. Buchnevich, Kempe, Zuccarello. When you expressly fade Kaprizov to grab Jason Robertson, to me that's a decision you're making, and I get of course you're able to have both guys succeed, but when you're making the decision to take Robertson over Kaprizov, I think taking Zuccarello is basically saying hey, I chose wrong. Hey, Kaprizov's gonna smash. Zuccarello's going to get there for this team. Why not just take Kaprizov then if you're going to do that? So to me, that's a little bit of you've made this decision, now sleep in the bed you made. So just take Victor Arvidsson instead. Noah Dobson, a great D-man. If I didn't have so much Shea Theodore, I think I would have, basically as much Dobson. It's unfortunate because most of the time they're going back to back, and so I can't get both without reaching. Vijmelka, Morgan Riley, with the Klingberg injury, I think Riley's fine in the last round. Like, again, I think he gets the power play run to start, and therefore he's likely to keep it. And then in the last round, he grabs somebody, the center. Who cares? Probably a good center. Oh, Horvat, Michael Matheson, Jack Campbell. Sure. I get it. Makes sense. Not a, well, 4D, right? Is that right? Miro?
I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 centers, 1, 2, 3, 4
Oh,
D,
wow.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Oh,
5
yeah. I
wingers.
wasn't even counting Bo
Yeah.
Horvat as a center. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was a real big spread. The next
Yeah.
one
Okay.
is I feel bad already, but I believe this team started very strong and then went a little bit off the rails. But Kaprizov, Kale McCarr, Rasmus Dahlin, Braden Point. Okay, fair enough.
Alpha D.
Alpha D. They did not take another one. I can already confirm. Did not take another one. Needs to go wing and does with Patrick Laine and Pierre-Luc Dubois. Okay. Am I in love with Pierre-Luc Dubois? I don't know yet. Probably not. First power play, a little bit tenuous. So Kaprizov, Laine to carry you. Okay. Again, I'm seeing it. You got to get on track. Don't love the Vanacek pick. It's fine. You kind of had to go goalie, but again, I'm not optimistic he's going to see enough starts. Rupe Hintz, you had to go wing here or goalie. Freddie Anderson, not enough starts for me to see him getting there at goalie. Victor Arvidsson, great pick, no problems. You just can't take Joel Eriksson. You had to go winger. So now you're up to 3 centers already. Perron, Eberle, Brock Nelson. Oh no.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
Phoenix Copley to not get enough start, and Matt Barzal to finish it off. I think that the beginning of this was such a good theory. It's an not anti-badge bro. I'm sure they're fine with the badges, but they're a no badger bro. And I just don't know if they quite had the formula here.
Yeah.
Not the worst team I've ever seen in my entire life, but it just did not come home.
Seems like the Makar Dahlin was not a thing of sharpness, but just a thing of randomness. And you just sort of took a random walk and ended up with a team that looked okay through the start.
It feels like they read one article on fantasy and were like, how am I getting Makar? How am I getting Dahlin this late? It's like, this is not that, bro, but it's okay.
Yeah. Jack Hughes, Panda Bacon. Great name. Panda Bacon, Jack Hughes, Tim Stutzla, Eric Carlson, Alex Tuck, Linus Olmark. Olmark and Huso is your top 2 goalies. That worries me a little bit, not going to lie. JT Miller, Brent Burns, the Burns Carlson stack always works. We've seen it in San Jose. Claude Giroux, Jake DeBrusk. Scroll down for me, please.
Oh, sorry. Bedard assist again. I was just trying to check that. My bad.
Wow. Mark Scheifele, Elias Lindholm. Is that 4 centers here?
1, 2, 3, 4.
That is 4 centers with a Jack Hughes start. Yeah, that's tough. And
honestly, if they just stopped after JT Miller, I really like that start. And like, I'm fine with even buying on Olmark there at a little bit after ADP, like whatever. But
yeah, to me, you should just take Demko or Jari, TBH.
I agree with that sentiment, but I'm fine. I'm thinking like
yikes.
You weren't dead. Yeah. Winger is not good enough at all. My team, finish it off. Let's get out of here. Let me get to my stupid freaking videos that are they're not stupid. They've actually been the best in the entire industry. I'm sure everyone's saying it and not just me. I started with Nikita Kucherov and Tage Thompson. I normally would have started with any winger, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm pretty overexposed to Stützle. At this point, I'm kind of coming off. I was going to go Ovi, and I've done that before, so whatever. Boldly and Svechnikov. I'm getting a little bit concerned about Svechnikov. Still not really at what would seem 100%. He's fallen a decent bit, though. Like, he was not going at 37, and now he is. By a little bit here. I have very little. I'm just going to hope he makes the opening night roster. I kind of feel like they've saved a spot with that power play for him regardless. And if he just comes right back and is right there, I'm fine. So at that point, I'm at a 3 or a 1-3. I needed a goalie. I took Demko and Jari. I love both of them. I've taken more Samsonov than anyone else there, but I decided to get a little bit different with Demko Jari. I haven't probably done that as much. John Carlson without Ovi. I'm kind of mad I didn't take Ovi because John Carlson kind of fell right into my lap here. But I needed a defenseman, and wingers were pretty dry. Besides, I wanted Raquel. I was between Raquel and Tippett. I have taken a good bit of both. Tippett, my highest exposure. But Ricard Raquel, I'm even when Gensel comes back, I'm hoping he'll keep a pretty big role and is an all rates player. I'm not sure about blocks exactly, but he hits, he shoots. Blocks are probably somewhere in the mix as well. He's on the ice enough. Jordan Kyrou, and I wasn't going to take a center again until the last turnaround. But I love Kyrou. I think 108 is an absolute steal for this guy. I like him more than a guy like Dylan Larkin. I like him a little bit more than probably Kempe, but not an extra. I like those two a bit more than most in this range. McAvoy, I'm starting to buy a bit up more on McAvoy. I think this Boston team is really going to run through him. They had a small injury to Grzelcyk. I don't know what what happened with him? I don't think it really matters, but
I'm not sure, but I also don't think it matters. I think Lindholm's the guy who can siphon off McAvoy's value.
Yeah. I just think that they, Lindholm was literally like the front runner for the Norris, and they're like, McAvoy's back. But no, McAvoy's back. And that happened. So I'm not that concerned. I just think, again, all rates, 25 to 30 minutes a night type of guy who is going to see a lot of power play run. Same with the next guy I took, Jacob Chikrin. I think that, while you could say there's guys that could siphon off of some of his usage, he's, I think, an elite rates playing defenseman that wasn't overlooked before. And last year, once he got to Ottawa, was very, very, very useful and has at this point taken what seems to be the top power play role in one of the teams I think that's probably going to be in the top 5 in scoring. Grubauer next to close out goaltending. Another guy I'm very high on. Hartman, yeah, I know it's not correlated, but I think Ryan Hartman is going to go right back into the old, Kaprizov, Zuccarello line. If the rates can come back up, I feel very good about him being a valuable player at 156. Bjorkstrand, Josh Norris, I know the concerns that are there. I have them, but he's practicing in full, and it seems like all the quotes are just, kind of like a. I mean, and you think about what happened with Brady, like they kept him out of games as well because of high stick. It's like they might just be overly cautious. I'm gonna just get a little bit, as we close out, just to get myself to a nice little 5 to 6%. He's going undrafted at this point in most lobbies. And then finally, Andre Burakovsky. I've taken so much Duclair, I'm over 20%. I'd like to get a little bit more to Burakovsky, who definitely had a great profile, missed a lot of time last year, but has kind of come right back into the top 6, top power play, or one of the 2 power plays in Seattle. And I'm fine taking some of him as well.
Okay, great job, everybody, except for the people who we said did bad jobs.
Yeah, they did bad. We said that.
Yeah. All right.
We are all knowing.
Let's get the hell out of here.
All right, Matt, why don't you say the closer? You're better at it.
Okay, yeah, that will do it for our Underdog Best Puck Classic series of streams. We again, I've said this a few times, but we came into this literally not knowing, because last year it was such a slog to even get one person to like tune in. We would just randomly do it at, oh, do you want to do it tonight? Yeah. Like, okay. We'd like randomly do it on like a Thursday night and then a Tuesday night. So like, it wasn't anything we like structured appropriately, but we were having problems like just filling drafts, getting people to talk to, etc. And this year, I think the change to a set time definitely helped, but, you guys showing up and the chat, that having people to communicate with was really, instrumental to making this somewhat watchable. Apologies to anyone who's just thinking, wow, this goes for way too long, but that's what we do here at the Morning Skate Podcast. So yeah, a big thanks to everyone who showed up, everyone who joined drafts with us, who bantered with us, everyone in the Discord who's talking about drafts all day long. DM DJ or I on Twitter. You see our ats on the screen here. If you want to get in the Discord and you're not already. And the next time you hear from us, we will be back on the saddle for DFS and for some of the more season-long type bets and awards and whatnot previews that we have planned. So that's it for now for the best puck stuff. We'll see if we pick this up during the year or pre-Zamboni or something. But thanks to you guys, this was a successful venture, outside of our normal comfort zone. So that will do it for us. Be sure to follow the podcast on your podcast app of choice, Amazon, Stitcher's dead, Apple Podcasts, etc. They're linked many places, including in the description on of this episode. Although if you're looking at the description, maybe you already are on the podcast. You know what? I'm just going to keep going because that was a dead end. Follow my newsletter. Again, my season preview coming out somewhat soon, hopefully by the end of this week. And send Saul Goodman head-to-heads on DraftKings. There you go. That is all you need to know for this upcoming DraftKings season. DJ, anything to add, or should we just go?
That's supposed to be the link tree. I'm not sure if it worked at all, but it says it is. So the link tree has all this stuff. I'm going to check right now if it worked. Yeah, I think it did. Link tree has Boarding Skate podcast, everything, the YouTube channel, Puck Luck, Charging Buffalo, and the primary points with Matt Moody.
Perfect.
So do all that. I would add the Discord, although it would change every 2 days. So I'd have to do it every 2 days, and I'm not going to remember. A lot more coming at Puck Luck. We're going to, I'll be doing a lot over there all season long, taking over the Twitter, doing just everything you could imagine. So if you're not over there, I would. If you want to give it a try, let me know. You can DM me any questions. I've gone over a few things with a few people, and everyone that I've gone over stuff with has been like, I'm going to sign up. I haven't had anyone that's like, yeah, I'm good. Everyone's like, let me check this out. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be very useful. We're kind of starting to look into I talked to Matt a little bit more about this, but like we are interested in doing what people want for the space, and just let us know. So if we're what we'd like to do is be a spot for the like my goal, I guess, with all of it is to say we're the best in any sport at all, but just for hockey. But we're the best at comparatively to any sport. We're giving you the best product for everything. That would be the goal I'd have. So then people just say like, I got to do it. Like I got to get it on hockey. Like I got to bet on it. Like there's a source that gives us the best. I know it's not perfect and it'll never be perfect, and you can't promise that completely. But like until we're there, like I'm not going to be satisfied. So let us know. And
yes,
we're going to get out of here.
Throughout the season, Puck Luck will have useful stuff for player props and DFS and stuff. So I'm excited to try and integrate those projections into my process as well, because right now I pretty much only use like one or two sources. So in any case, it's all stuff that we've talked about before. So once again, thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you soon. From Doug, from DJ, from myself, we'll see you in the Best Puck Classic lobbies in the week up until opening night. And we will see you.